first week of FNCS is done and dusted, and we have a lot to talk about. Reed and Rituals absolutely dominating NA, ridiculously laggy lobbies, but only on EU, and a whole bunch of hackers banned right before the tournament started. There's a lot to break down. Let's jump into it. Let's kick off talking about EU. And now I already talked about this in a previous video, but in case you missed it, EU's round 1 got messed up because over 1 million people tried to play the tournament. It was so popular that it broke. So they had to change the format and add 2 days with 2 rounds rather than only 1 day having 2 rounds. But because of this, they also made the round 3 an hour earlier than it was supposed to be. And I was a little bit confused why they did this until they ran round 3. And then once it ended, they went back and banned 14 different cheaters who made it in the top 250. So the round 3 is top 1,000 players trying to get down to top 250, and in that 1,000 players, just those who made top 250, by the way, so there definitely would have been more, they banned 14 cheaters. Now, I have to point out, I'm actually super happy that Epic delayed the tournament by an hour or moved it forward an hour to give them time to address what is a major issue right now. Cheaters are an issue in Fortnite, no one can deny that, and it's good to see the Fortnite at least doing what they can to try to, fix the issue. They've added a bye week into FNCS, they have a whole week now to try to find the cheaters and ban them, and now they're adding extra time between tournaments. I know what you're already saying, you're already typing in the comment section, but Aussie, why can't they ban them as soon as they start hacking? Trust me, I wish they could. For whatever reason, the anti-cheat isn't picking them up, and for whatever reason, Epic isn't able to find them quickly during the tournament. They have to wait until the tournament ends. This is either some kind of legal thing because it's a prize money tournament, maybe they have to be 100% sure they're cheating, or it's some kind of internal policy at Epic where they take really long to find cheaters, but they are speeding up the process. A lot of cheaters now getting banned within an hour of the tournament finishing, and the people who actually qualified are in and playing, which is a big W. Obviously, we're not the whole way there yet, but it's getting better with the cheaters at least. Now, unfortunately, once we actually got to the EU finals, there were some issues. So the broadcast, the official broadcast, the Fortnite Twitch channel are now doing watch parties of the final games of the weekly qualifiers. Even though they don't end in a set lobby, they're jumping in and they're watching one of the games. Now, unfortunately, whichever game they choose to watch means they're running observers. Observers are the people who jump into the game, fly around with the drones, get all the pretty shots and follow the players so they can actually run the broadcast. Now, the problem is, and I've talked about it a whole bunch on my channel in the past, these observers are creating massive spikes in lag. So the way players interact with other players in Fortnite is if someone goes outside your render distance, I think it's about 250 meters, you can't see them. Anything they do doesn't interact with you. So there's less data being sent between those two players. What observers do is they gain the data from all over the map wherever someone is and feeds it to them so they can jump around, they can watch the game, do the drone shots. They function differently to a player, and it's massively increasing the lag. So if you're watching some of the lobbies like Mr. Savage and Mongrel were in, I think the broadcast was trying to highlight them being the big names and the big storylines. Unfortunately, their lobbies were a lot laggier, and you saw people just basically freezing in midair and dying. But some of the lobbies without them are running really, really well. So I'm hoping Epic can address this situation. They're very clearly aware of it because a lot of the lobbies, they're trying to run less observers, and they are trying to work on fixes to get the lag to go down. This is what they did in Copenhagen. So fingers crossed it gets better. But in case you're watching certain lobbies and it's way, way laggier, that's what's going on. If you don't know why I'm even talking about this, let me show you some of the clips you missed from the lag. It is kind of ridiculous.
What is this game, bro?
What? They're invisible! They're invisible! They're invisible! What the f?
Come back. Get rid of this. Come back.
What? Hello? Back. I'm seeing ghosts.
I go. Off this. Yep. I'm going on top up here, okay? I'm full, dude. What? I'm just dead, bro. Like, I'm dead, bro. What if I just...
Some of them are actually kind of funny, honestly, and it's worth pointing out by the time NA came around, it was actually a lot better despite them also broadcasting NA. So maybe throughout the day, they came up with some fixes that made it better. So fingers crossed it's better in the future. Now, to how people actually placed and what went down on the leaderboards. If you're confused at all by the format, don't worry, you're not alone. The reason why I'm not hyping up who placed what and oh my god, who came top 10, who auto-qualified, because none of that really matters. The way this format works is there's going to be 2 qualifying weeks. This is the first one, and the top 250 most consistent duos from both weeks combined goes through to semifinals. So teams who place really, really well today now have an advantage. They can go into next week not worrying as much as long as they place all right. They'll be through. Any team who didn't qualify isn't just completely out of FNCS. With a really good next week, they can still go through. But that's the reason why I have been making videos after every single day, breaking down exactly what teams placed, because it doesn't matter as much just yet. But in saying that, I still want to break down leaderboards and talk about the duos who are absolutely popping off. Before we talk about Reed and Ritual's domination, let's talk about EU. And we had Vico and Pink absolutely dominating. Pink representing the Goons so well, 369 points in first place with 3 wins in a row. They only played 6 matches. Now, if you look at the next 3 teams on the leaderboard, big names, Seti and Kami, Volko and Vortexes, and Sanguild and Marius, they had 9, 8, and 10 games respectively. So Pink and Vico's insane consistency was ridiculous. They could have actually got a last game. Their last game finished 3 minutes before Q's ended, and they just didn't get into the last one. They could have honestly easily cleared 400 points. They are playing amazing. Like I said, Seti, Kami, Volko, Vortexes, Sanguild, and Marius, Chris and Skivvy, Ilusha, Kami, Mustache and Malabuka, Sined, Vanyak, Revscard and QB, and then Demis and Serene. Those are your top 10. A lot of big names you recognize. We did have Rezon and Badil just outside of that. Queasy and Thomas in 14th. Queasy being very vocal on social media about not really liking this season that much, but still performing really, really well. We had Wheat and Smokey in 15th. I think the most underrated team in EU right now. They're absolutely dominating. We did end up having Veno and Tayson make the finals after a very shaky start to FNCS, not placing super highly, but again, I'm not going to break down every single placement until we get to next week and we know exactly where people placed for semifinals. Moving on over to NA, we had Reed and Rituals in first on 527 points. I think in the other 5 regions outside of NA, the highest points was less than 420. They absolutely popped off. 8 matches, 5 wins, with an average elims of 9.13. Their only 2 bad games, they died on spawn instantly. And then their other game was a 10 elim second. So they managed to get 5 wins, a second, and then just 2 throwaway games that wasted no time. Like, this is one of the most impressive match histories I have ever seen. They played so well. And honestly, Reed and Rituals are looking like the best duo in NA right now. 2 duo cash cut wins. Now this performance, they are looking crazy. On top of Reed's ridiculous solo performances right now, dropping world record ranked kills, dropping multiple 30 bombs and solo victory cups. This duo is looking like the one to beat. And again, if you missed it in my recent videos, they actually split up. Ritual dropped Reed a few weeks ago for Sphinx and decided otherwise, went back with Reed, and I'm very, very happy they did. They did beat out another favorite this season, Peterbot and Poyo in second on 371, Aviv and Booga in third on 355, Acorn and Cold 341, Muzz and Paper and Cooper and Mero. No offense to Physic, is it? But that top 6 is absolutely stacked. The most ridiculous leaderboard I've almost ever seen. So whatever your complaints are about this meta or this season, we're talking about lag and hackers and all these glitches, clearly the best teams are still showing up, at least on NA. We are getting absolutely stacked leaderboards in the first week of FNCS.